I'm typing this on my phone because I'm too scared to use my laptop. I threw it into the back of my closet and covered it with clothes to try to dampen the high-pitched ringing sound it keeps emitting, but I can still faintly hear it from where I'm sitting in the living room. I tried shutting it down, it wouldn't turn off. Doesn't restart either. I closed the screen but that didn't do anything. Tried to let the battery die and once it hit 0%, it stayed on as if it were fully charged. This thing can't be turned off. I'm sure this all sounds silly and nobody is going to believe me, but there is something wrong with my laptop. The easiest option would be to just get rid of it, but I'm tight on cash and my job requires a laptop. I'm a marketing assistant at a small creative agency. It's not the most glamorous job. I mostly fill out grids and review decks, but it took me nearly a year to find this position. It's completely remote, which is a plus, the benefits are decent, and the pay is low, but it's something. I was hired about a month ago. I hadn't bought a laptop since 2017 and I wore out my last one so badly it basically refused to hold a charge and had to be plugged in all the time. I thought it made sense to get a new one, a new job, a fresh laptop, the beginning of a new career era. All the new Apple models are insanely overpriced, well above my price range. I could buy a new one in a few months after I save up a bit, but I needed something ASAP. I browsed the internet and found a used electronics site. They refurbish phones and laptops and resell them at an affordable price. Perfect. I found a 2022 Mac, placed the order, and it was delivered less than a day later. I actually think there were only 3 hours between purchasing the laptop and it showing up on my doorstep. Excited to get it set up, I ripped open the box and sitting atop the neatly packaged laptop was a jet black business card with small white lettering in an odd font choice. Hunter's Refurbishments. Thank you for supporting small businesses. Enjoy your product. 609-3006. Ignoring the card, I threw it away and dug into the laptop. Beautifully dark brushed metal, no trace of fingerprints anywhere. It looked almost new save for a couple of scratches on the underside. I plugged it in, turned it on, made a new user profile, and clicked through the setup guide. The setup screen faded away and the preloaded wallpaper appeared. It didn't really look like the typical Apple wallpapers that we're all familiar with. Not Big Sur or the Sierra Nevadas. It was a landscape photo of a farmhouse sitting in a field of tall yellowing grass, a single oak tree bending its awkward limbs over the decaying porch. There was some dark beauty to it. The sunset behind the farmhouse cast bands of golden light on the grass, making it appear as if it were shimmering. Maybe it was taken on the East Coast. Some farm in New England. Didn't really matter to me. I had a new laptop and it was working perfectly. I gave my ancient 2017 one a quick eulogy and tossed it. Good morning. Marie needs the toothpaste deck to go out by EOD for client review. Morning. Got it, should be ready by afternoon. I'll upload it to Monday and ping you when it's up. Thanks. The first time I noticed something was the next day. I was sitting at my desk going over my boss's notes on a deck for some toothpaste commercial when I minimized my Chrome window and saw something I hadn't noticed before. On the front porch of the farmhouse was a figure sitting in a rocking chair. I brought my face closer to the screen to try to make out any details, but the farmhouse was so far in the distance, the scale of the figure was smaller than the cursor. It was so tiny I guess I just hadn't noticed the day before. It's not like anyone really stares at their computer wallpaper. The figure had a pale white face and was draped in some sort of black cloak, but again it was so tiny I was basically making guesses. I shrugged it off and went back to Outlook to keep working. I had a deadline to meet. My bedroom darkened as evening fell, the only source of light being the blue glow of my laptop. I uploaded the deck and sent a note back to Marie to let her know I was finished. I'd gotten so caught up in the day that I had forgotten about the figure in the rocking chair. I went back to the wallpaper and studied the landscape again before deciding to just change it to another preloaded one. Something less spooky. I chose a sunrise off a blue coastline. I love watching Netflix in bed as I fall asleep, so that night I got comfortable and logged in on my laptop to put some Arrested Development on. I must have been exhausted because I fell asleep almost immediately. I always just end up sleeping with my laptop either next to me on my comforter or on my nightstand and let the episodes keep going until Netflix realizes I'm no longer watching. I guess that must have happened, but at around 3 a.m. I bolted awake to a screeching ringing tone coming from my laptop. It was ear-piercingly loud, almost at an unbelievable volume for a laptop. Gone was Arrested Development. The laptop screen was static white like an old VHS TV, illuminating my otherwise pitch-black bedroom in a cloudy light. I scrambled to turn the volume down, afraid my neighbors would come banging on my front door, but the sound stopped as quickly as it had begun. The screen went dark, the room went dark, the night got quiet. I sat and stared bewildered in a drowsy daze at my laptop, the quiet hum of cicadas in the night outside, when suddenly it felt as if I was being watched. I could barely see my own hand in front of me. The night seemed darker than usual. I slowly turned over my shoulder to the open door of my bedroom, and in the darkness I could just make out the faint silhouette of a hunched figure standing right outside the doorway. Staring right at me. My blood chilled. I froze. I fumbled for the lamp on my nightstand and turned it on. Warm light extinguished the blackness. Nothing in the doorway, just a long stretch of hallway to the living room. It felt kind of similar to that movie that came out last year, Skinamarink. You sit in the darkness of your bedroom long enough that suddenly you start seeing things in the inky black. I thought it was nothing, but I swear I could make out the faintest trace of a pale white face grinning at me. The next day I'm back to work as usual, tired from the night before. I clicked out of Chrome to my desktop to open up Adobe when I noticed the farmhouse wallpaper was back. It had changed by itself. It wasn't exactly the one from yesterday though. No, the figure wasn't in the rocking chair anymore. Instead, the figure had moved off the porch and was now standing in the field, closer to where the photographer would be. I could really make it out now. A pale white grinning face with distended lips, rotting teeth. That wasn't the worst part though. Where its eyes should be were instead empty pockets of nothing. Just completely grotesque, definitely not a preloaded wallpaper for a laptop. I changed it back to the beach and dug around in my trash can for the refurbishment card that came with the package. I wasn't going to wait around to see what happened. Maybe one of the tech guys there was playing a trick and had programmed some jump scares into the computer or something. Maybe that's something they do. Similar to jailbreaking an iPhone or pretending to control someone's computer remotely. I don't know. I found the card and dialed the number. It rang. Once before a young woman with a pleasant voice picked up. "Hi, Hunter's Refurbishments. How may I help you?" Hey, I recently ordered a laptop. It came the other day and setup was normal, but there's something going on with the wallpaper. I changed it, but then it changed back by itself in the photo. One moment, let me place you on a brief hold. Thank you. I hadn't even finished speaking when she cut me off and put me on hold. Hold music began playing, some upbeat jingle shrill enough to drive anyone insane. I sat on hold for 20 minutes, then an hour. I ended the call and tried again. Went through the same motions with the same woman only to continuously be placed on hold. Maybe they were really backed up with calls and other people experiencing issues with their orders. I called again, and instead of the woman answering, an automated voice greeted me and sent me to hold immediately. I decided to wait it out. The jingle was boring a hole into my head, the most annoyingly enthusiastic hold music. I could have strangled someone. Suddenly the music stopped. Finally, someone was becoming available to help me. But instead of the call being redirected to a person, the automated voice returned with a simple "Goodbye," and the call dropped. I screamed. I literally screamed out of agony, out of pure frustration. I turned back to my laptop. The wallpaper changed itself again, back to the farmhouse and the pale-faced thing. It moved in the field again. It was getting closer. Gaping holes for eyes, distended lips wet with saliva. It looked like it was laughing at my misery. I left my laptop closed on my desk that night. No Netflix tonight. I needed to sleep and didn't want the computer near me. I scrolled on TikTok for a bit before I dozed off. The jingle woke me. The hold music. I picked up my phone in my fatigue, thinking maybe Hunters was calling me back. It wasn't coming from my phone. It was coming from my closed laptop. I looked to the doorway, thinking the figure from the night before would be back, before getting out of bed and crossing to my laptop to shut it off. I opened the laptop and a wave of nausea crashed over me. The pale-faced thing was even closer. The farmhouse was barely visible now, its face nearly filling the entire screen. Still grinning, still laughing. Bits of red stuff wedged in its teeth. No matter how many times I held the power button, nothing was happening. It wasn't shutting down, the jingle wasn't stopping. I cracked. I picked it up and smashed it on the floor. Threw it again and again till the screen was shattered and keys were flying off. I just needed the jingle to stop and the pale face to be gone. I threw it down one last time with a final blow, satisfied with the damage I'd caused. I picked the laptop up thinking it would be dead, but the screen was still glowing with light. Through the splintered glass of the screen I could see the farmhouse, the field of yellowing grass, the rocking chair, the oak tree, everything was there except for the pale-faced thing. As if my havoc had caused it to flee the wallpaper. The screen flickered off. The room went black. The cicadas outside filled the silence. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. It felt as if I was being watched.